this lesson we will continue with the group contact methods. So, after going through the lesson, you will be able to understand and plan about the planning and conduct of field trips. You will be able to plan and conduct the farmers field school. You should be able to know about the various small group techniques, namely lecture, debate, symposium and panel. You will be able to plan and conduct field trips, study tours, exposure visits. So, field trip or exposure visit, it is a method in which a group of interested farmers accompanied and guided by an extension workers goes on a tour to see and gain first-hand knowledge of improved practices in the natural setting, whether on research station or demonstration farms or institutions or farmers fields. It is a series of field and demonstration meetings arranged in a sequence. It is very difficult to convince the farmers with oral explanation, and they will not believe unless they see and interact with the farmers, those who have adopted the recommended practices. It is well said that seeing is believing. This method satisfies and motivates the farmers who are not convinced and believe in this said concept. The purpose of the field visit is, number 1, to stimulate interest, conviction and action in respect of a specific practice. Example, preparing rural compost or vermicompost. The cumulative influence of several ideal composts is more likely to provide such stimulation than a single illustration. Number 2, to impress the group about the feasibility and utility of a series of related practices. Example, proper preservation of farmyard manure or compost, rural composting, urban composting and green manuring, which are all included under the item development of local manurial resources. Third purpose of field trip is to induce a spirit of healthy competition by showing the accomplishments in other villages. In short, field trips help people to recognize problems, to develop interest, generate discussion and to promote action. Now, let us see the procedure for conducting the field trips. Number 1, provide for field trips at opportune time in the overall teaching plan. Number 2, prepare an outline of specific aims of the trip. Planning the trip. So, decide upon the places to be visited and the things to be seen and learned. Do not crowd the program. Number 2, then arrange for necessary permission from the concerned authorities to make the trip. Number 3, fix the date, time, means of transport and number of participants to be taken and number of stops, arrangements for rest and refreshments in consultation with the village leaders. Accompanying staff should pay an advance visit to the actual site before conducting the party. Give definite instructions to participants where and when to meet. Insist on punctuality in arriving and departure timings at each stop. How to conduct the field trip. Now, number 1, give guide sheets in simple language. Number 2, focus attention on the purpose of the trip. Number 3, let everyone see, hear, discuss and if possible participate in the activities at the place of visit. Number 4, allow time for question and answers. Number 5, help them to make notes for interesting information. Number 6, follow the general instruction regarding conversation applicable to all direct contact methods. Avoid accidents, adhere to schedule all through. Record the trip. Accompanying staff should note the details of the trip, the names of the participants, etc. to facilitate follow-up. Coming to follow-up of field trip, contact the participants individually and in groups. Number 2, arrange for necessary supply and services. Number 3, see that the desired action results. Number 4, give due recognition to the successful learners. Number 5, build up publicity material. Now, what are the advantages of field trips? Number 1, participants gain first-hand knowledge of improved practices and are stimulated to action. Number 2, eminently suited to the show me type of people. Number 3, percentage of takes to exposure is high. Number 4, widens the vision of the farmers. Number 5, caters to group psychology and leadership. Number 6, has an incidental value of entertainment and sightseeing. Now, let us see the limitations of field trips. It is costly. It is difficult to fix up season and time suitable for all. Number 3, bottlenecks of transport and accommodation at halting places, exits. Number 4, possibility of subordinating education aspect to the sightseeing aspect. Number 5, there may be risk of accidents. Next, we will see about farmers field school, which also comes under group contact methods. It is also shortly known as FFS. A farmer field school is a participatory extension group method which was introduced and established first in Central Java in Indonesia in 1989 under the assistance provided by Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to Indonesia. The term farmers field school came from the Indonesian expression Seklo Lapangan, meaning just field school. Meaning of FFS. The farmers field school is a form of adult education which evolved from the concept that farmers learn optimally from field observation and experimentation. In regular sessions from planting till harvest, groups of neighboring farmers observe and discuss dynamics of the crop's ecosystem. Simple experimentation helps farmers further improve their understanding of function relationships. In this cyclical learning process, farmers develop the expertise that enables them to make their own crop management decisions. Special group activities encourage learning from peers and strengthen communicative skill and group building. The farmers field school is a group based learning process. During the FFS, farmers carried out activities that help them understand the ecology of the rice fields. These activities involve simple experiments, regular field observations and group analysis. The knowledge gained from these activities enables participants to make their own locally specific decisions about crop management practices. This approach represents a radical departure from earlier programs in which farmers were expected to adopt generalized recommendations that had been formulated by specialists from outside the community. FFS is a place where farmers undergo a field-oriented, discovery-based training that enables them to become field experts and be able to grow a healthy crop. FFS is an effective extension tool which can be used for empowering the farming community, developing self-confidence, increasing in social and human capital, and promote better living through awareness of health environmental concerns. Let us see the concept of FFS. FFS consists of a group of people with a common interest who get together on a regular basis to study the how and why of a particular topic. The topic covered can vary from IPM, organic agriculture, animal husbandry and soil husbandry to income generating activities such as handicrafts. FFS is a participatory extension methodology, recognizes the need to involve farmers in technology development transfer. In this process, farmers are central in the process of technology development. FFS emphasizes building on the farmer's ability to experiment and draw conclusions, and it empowers farmers to improve their socio-economic conditions. FFS is basically school without walls. So, all the teaching is conducted outside the classroom situation. It is conducted in the field level situation. FFS, however, is particularly adapted to field study where specific hands-on management skills and conceptual understanding are required. As the name suggests, FFS are the schools for the farmers outside the classrooms and on the farms. It operates with the principles of non-formal education, and most of the session and contents are based on adult learning principle. FFS is seen as a process that takes place in the learner, not in the teacher or facilitator. It seeks to empower people to solve their problems actively by fostering participation, interaction, dialogue, joint decision making, self-confidence and self-determination. Farmers learn by carrying out for themselves various activities related to a selected farming technology and through constant observation of the technology performance in the field because of his practical knowledge based on generation long experience. Next concept of FFS is the lessons learnt in FFS can be applied directly in fields as curriculum follows the natural cycle of the crop bar technology selected. Field operations in FFS plots takes place in parallel with the operations carried out to the farmers' fields. The FFS is a tool to build the capacities of farmers groups and NGO staff in managing crop ecosystem to make them better decision makers in promoting sustainable use of resources at the cropping, farming and watershed system levels. In FFS, Farmers learn about sustainable agriculture practices on the field. The field belongs to an experiment station or to a community. There, farmers meet regularly for the duration of an entire cropping season. They learn by observing what is happening on the field, by considering what they have observed in small groups, and by hands-on management of the field from pre-planting to harvest. The basic concept of Farmers Field School is, if I hear it, I forget it. If I see it, I remember it. If I discover it, I own it for life. Objectives of FFS. Number 1, first objective is to empower farmers on decision making. Second, to educate farmers with science-based learning. Third, to make farmers experts and evaluators instead of passive acceptors of technology. Fourth objective is to facilitate confidence building with field interaction and discovery based learning. And fifth, to encourage experimentation with skill orientation. And sixth, to facilitate farmers to grow healthy crop. Let us see the steps in organizing the FFS. Number 1, collection of basic information and enlisting cooperation. Number 2, sensitizing about FFS. Number 3, selection of FFS participants and collaborators and of their approval. That is selection of FFS participants, selection of FFS collaborator, development of norms for FFS, approval of candidates, collaborator and norms for FFS. Number 4, planning. In planning, we have to find out the list of problems for analysis, prioritize solutions to solve problems. Then we have to develop a plan for treating the same. Then we have to schedule the visit to FFS, preparation of calendar of operations, memorandum of understanding for organizing FFS. Get the FFS activities implemented by FFS candidates as per calendar of operations. Organize educational activities like field days, field visits and group discussion meetings. Analysis of results, withdrawal. Next we will see about group discussion techniques. We have special techniques which are meant for small groups. Number 1 is lecture. The lecture method is extensively used to present authoritative or technical information, to develop background and appreciation and to integrate ideas. The range of subject that can be covered by this method is unlimited, but the speaker at a given meeting presents a specific subject to a particular audience. The lecture is an excellent method for presenting information to a large number of persons in a short period of time. Its weaknesses is that people are not likely to master as much of the information as a speaker is likely to assume, because for most part it is one-way communication. Members of audience listen in terms of the interest and remember in terms of the motivation and memory. This is generally called a forum. However, lectures designed to entertain or commemorate are more effective without a forum. Chief characteristics of lecture method. Number 1, usually it is an organized presentation. Number 2, it can be used to cover thoroughly the subject matter. Number 3, it is adaptable to large groups. Number 4, it appeals to the ear-minded. Number 5, it conserves time. Number 6, results are easy to check. Number 7, listeners sometimes absorb information without thinking. Number 8, material gained through lecture is not really learnt. Number 9, the lecturer may lose his group or go over the heads of his group. The lecture method can be used advantageously with large groups where the individuals have some common background of the information experience. Number 2, when it is necessary to cover a large quantity of material in a given time. Number 3, when it is necessary to arouse enthusiasm in initiating a new program or in further development of a program. Number 4, when giving factual information. Number 5, when providing a common background of the information as a basis for further study. Number 6, where there is need to supplement other methods. The lecture method is not effective when skills are to be developed, when no testing is done, when group participation is desired, when problems are to be solved, when doing ability is to be acquired. The lecture method is not effective when skills are to be developed, when no testing is done, when group participation is desired, when problems are to be solved, when doing ability is to be acquired. The next group contact method is debate. The common pattern is to have two teams, one representing the affirmative and the other the negative side of the question. Usually there are two speakers for each side. Each speaker is allowed a definite amount of time to make his main speech, and rebuttal after the main speeches have been completed. In this case, there is two-way communication between the debaters but one-way communication for the audience. The range of subjects for the debate is limited to controversial topics. The big advantage in a debate is that more than one side of a question is presented. There is, however, one danger. If it is a decision debate, there is a temptation for the debate to become highly antagonistic. In such case, the motive to win the debate by any means may lead to distortion of information, ignoring the primary need to inform the audience. This objective to the debate is overcome by holding non-decision debates or by having a forum after the debate. Next group contact method is symposium. This is a short series of lectures, usually by 2 to 5 speakers. Each one speaks for a definite amount of time and presents a different phase or subdivision of a general topic. The topic should be large enough or general enough to permit 2 or more subdivisions that are sufficiently significant to justify separate discussion by speakers. The subject may or may not be controversial. It is important that the speakers are of approximately equal ability to avoid one speaker dominating the meeting or giving the audience a distorted view of the subject. The speeches may be followed by a forum to facilitate mastery of information. The advantage of symposium over lecture is that 2 or more experts present different phases of the topics. It also has an advantage over the debate, as it is possible to escape the antagonism that may accompany the latter. Panel is one among the group contact methods. It is an informal conversation put on for the benefit of the audience by a small group of speakers, usually from 2 to 8 in number. They are selected on the basis of the information and experience they have. Members are seated so that they can see one another and also face the audience. The panel is generally rehearsed before it is presented to the public. The leader introduces the members of the panel to the audience and announces the topic. He has the responsibility to see that the conversation keeps going by asking questions or making brief comments and encouraging the less talkative members. We can see the different types of panels. One is discussion, chairman member panel. This is also otherwise called question and answer panel. The presentation of the panel is actually a series of questions by the chairman and answered by the members of the panel. Number 2 is conversational panel. After the members are introduced and topics communicated, the panel member holds conversation on the topic with the questions and comments going from one member to another. From time to time, the chairman may throw out the questions or remarks to help the conversation. Third type is set speech panel. This is the pre-arranged panel. After the chairman introduces the topic, each one makes a prepared speech. When the last member made the speech, the panel is turned into forum. Dynamic characteristics of the panel. The atmosphere of the panel discussion may be informal or at times formal also. It can expose and focus on different points of view, facts, attitudes and subject matter problem. It allows for maximum interaction and interstimulation between panel members. Number 4, it often increases the interest of the audience with the specific subject because of active and dramatic presentation of subject. Number 5, it is a useful method of defining points of agreement, areas of disagreement and of approaching consensus. It divides responsibility among the panel members by arranging prior meetings. The purpose where the panel can be held is, this method might be chosen to increase an informal atmosphere for communication in the group. Number 2, to identify the problems and issues to be considered and to explore them. Number 3, to give the audience an understanding of the component parts of the problem. Number 4, to get different facts and points of view brought into a discussion framework. Number 5, to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of the course of action. Number 6, to force a group for enabling them to join the problem solving process. What are the components of panel discussion? Number 1, chairman or moderator. Number 2, panel members or panelists. Number 3, audience or group members. What are the role expectations from each of these elements? Chairman. The chairman should select the panel members with utmost care. Number 2, identify the people who are interested in the problem, have facts and opinions, represent different views, and he must have had the required experiences. Number 3, plan the meeting and should do the required physical arrangements. Number 4, introduce the panel members to the audience. Number 5, open the discussion with a relevant statement that will immediately focus the attention of the audience. Number 6, ask the reflective thought-provoking questions. Number 7, probe for points of disagreement for leading the discussion. Present an effective summary that may lead for action. Now let us see the role of the panel members. The panel members should prepare materials and organize thoughts so cogently. Number 2, they should set an example of careful, reflective and rational thinking. Number 3, they should listen thoughtfully to the comments of other members and strive to get viewpoints. Number 4, watch for a right moment or occasion to present his or her viewpoints. Number 5, keep the atmosphere informal and conversational. Number 6, contribute to the discussion by respecting other views. Let us see the role of group members. The group members, they should have clear in mind the objectives of the meeting. Number 2, the group members should make sure that the topic selected be timely and significant. Number 3, the group can also play an effective role by selecting the chairman or moderator who is unbiased, who can think rapidly and who can ask questions effectively and finalize summary. Now, what are the cautions that one should keep in mind while planning for panel? Number 1, the success of panel depends upon the moderator. Number 2, the discussion must not be monopolized by 1 or 2 members. Number 3, the planning is absolutely necessary for the successful performance of the technique. Number 4, allow enough time. Panel shorter than 30 minutes may not be a successful one. Number 5, the panel discussion should be concluded with the general interest of the group is high. Now let us see the advantages of panel. It provides the participants with divergent and diverse views on the same topic instead of one view. Number 2, it stimulates the thinking of the participants when they observe the panelists at discussion. And the disadvantages, number 1, when the panelists fail to deliver the goods, the method fails and the trainer obviously becomes helpless in such a situation. The second disadvantage is a wrong choice of the topic can spoil the whole thing and put the blame on the trainer. So, at the end of this lesson, we have understood that the field trip is a method in which a group of interested farmers accompanied and guided by extension workers goes on to see and gain first-hand knowledge of improved practices in the natural setting. And the Farmers Field School is a forum of adult education which evolved from the concept that farmers learn optimally from field observation and experimentation. In this lesson, we have learnt about various small group discussion techniques, namely lectures, debates, symposium and panel.